Hey there guys, my name is Salvador Salinas. I'm the creator of Run and Zen, and I decided to actually make a full informative video about my personal philosophy, how Run and Zen got created, where the story actually begins, and the purpose of what I'm actually trying to do with this running program. So the philosophy of how I decided to begin Run and Zen actually started about 2 years ago when I lived in Ashland, Oregon. Things weren't going my way, and something came up to me, and as the idea of wanting to teach people how to do the one thing I'm actually pretty good at, and that's being a runner. I know that that doesn't sound like the easiest thing to do, but I feel like I can actually motivate people and teach them how to run. And with the philosophy that Run and Zen comes with, it's actually not teaching people how to run, it's how to enjoy running. That's the whole point of Run and Zen, to run in the enlightenment of not worrying about it, or not thinking about, oh man, I'm running and I'm feeling tired, and this sport is so hard to do, it's so hard to begin with, etc. So one of the first things that I like to tell people is that running is the easiest sport in which you can quit. This is very true. You can literally stop whenever you'd like to, and it's literally all up to you. But getting on with the philosophy of how teaching people how to run, it actually comes with a lot more depth, a little bit more structure, a little bit more philosophical, a little bit more into the educational part of it. And I want to get started on that. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you actually give this video at least a good 3 to 4 minutes for you guys to actually have a little bit of the idea of what I'm trying to do. And if you guys would like to share this video because it was informative, you think that there is value of what I'm trying to say, I would really appreciate it so much. So with that said, let's get started. So I know that let's start off with the questions, because if I have a question, this actually gives you the idea of what the answer might be, right? So I have the question of what the problem is, right? And the problem is that I know that we are in a rut as a human being species. There's climate change, there's low morale, we don't have good health, and these are all things that can actually be solved by running. I know it sounds very crazy. But just give it a good 3 to 4 minutes and you guys will actually have the idea of what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I do believe that running can actually be a stimulant, and a thing that we actually get to invite, a thing we actually get to share, a thing we actually get to motivate, teach, and start aiming for something that we would like to achieve, right? That's the whole goal. So I have 3 main topics. Obviously, I'm talking ecological, I'm talking physical, and I'm talking with morale. And the idea is that starting off with that, I know that most people don't like to run. They'd much rather do any other exercise because it's so hard to either start, or it's so hard to follow through, or they don't have a proper plan to get the result that they want. But let's start off with the idea how this started. Very recently, Nike came out with a commercial called the Choose Go, and in this commercial they have a problem called the stop apocalypse, in which the earth stops rotating on its axis, and a whole bunch of people start running. They start trying to find solutions, and that is the solution: running, right? It introduces athletes like Evan Yeager, Matt Centrowitz, Kobe Bryant, Edison Cavani, soccer players, basketball, you name it. Literally any Nike athlete that's there is very well known in their own sport. But there's also other figures like Kevin Hart and Bill Nye the Science Guy. So the thing I like about Bill Nye the Science Guy is that on his Instagram he actually says, consider the following, run like the world depended on it, because it does. And I know that it took me so long to finally get to the point of why I'm trying to teach people how to run, is because running is the only thing that the world actually depends on. I want to get to the point of structure, organization, and roles. And everybody starts running, and apparently that's going to be the thing that saves the world. So they actually do introduce this guy called Coach Bennett. I don't know anything about him personally, but I know that his motive is to teach people how to run. So I admire him. I think it's a great start, especially since he has such a depth of influence towards other people's. And I would like to help out towards the people that I know and can actually influence through running. So let's start off with three main topics, and this is us. This is going to be human beings, this is going to be the ecosystem, and this is going to be the world. So let's start off with human beings, and I'm pretty sure that you can all agree that a human being is mind, body, and soul. But I think there's another attribute that we're forgetting, which is instinct. Instinct is this reaction, this stimulant that the animals respond to because something externally affected it a certain way and created a certain result, or the reaction, right? The impulse reaction. So instinct is the thing that makes us create those brash decisions as fast as we possibly can, and deal with the result at the end of it all. But I do want to get a little bit more in detail with instinct, as the planet also has instinct. The ecosystem, the plants, the ocean, the other animals in this world have instinct, and they follow their role. They just keep on doing what their body naturally tells them to do. So I believe that every animal or every other living organism actually follows their role and their instinct to achieve their purpose, right? So a very good quote with that is, every living organism strives to the maximum of its potential, except for human beings. Because the man who actually said this, Jim Rohn, he says that we have been given the dignity of choice. And with choice, we can do either something bad with it, take advantage, or just go along with whatever feels proper for just ourselves. Or we can make the choice of working together and striving for a certain goal and influence and teach. And whatever can be with choice, because we have been given the dignity to do so. So going on with that is that this whole world is running, but we're not. And I will get into the point of why we're supposed to be running, but let's start off with the world, right? There is the ecosystem, and in the ecosystem there are certain cycles, or there are certain mechanics that actually makes the world go around. You know, it's not just love, but love plays a really big part of it. Talk a little bit more, some other philosophy maybe, but let's start off with the carbon cycle, the hydrological cycle, and also pretty much just the energy cycle that the sun gives us. So that's the first point, okay? We're going to go with the sun, then it goes into the oceans, plants, animals, and then the atmosphere. And then with the atmosphere, it actually obviously affects us, right? So as I did start it off, the sun gives us energy. Ocean has the hydrological cycle, which is the water cycle, the process in which water changes from vapor into the atmosphere, precipitation, and then it gets to the land, right? And then after hitting the land, you know, it actually hits plants and helps them with photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is plants intaking carbon dioxide, water to create oxygen. And every single other living organism that's an animal actually uses oxygen to create carbon dioxide. So plants are creating oxygen, we are taking it, and we're creating carbon dioxide so that they can actually get the carbon dioxide, right? And the ocean actually plays a big part of this too. I know that the scientific community wants to change cars or create a machine that actually uses fuel combustion to create carbon dioxide instead of methane gas. So methane gas is pretty much just cigarettes in this world, and you have to think of the world as a human body. The human body is composed of literally every single organism, every single mineral, every single, in a sense, vitamin, I want to say, but it has the composure of water, it has the composure of land, muscles, and vitamins and minerals, right? Salts, potassium, calcium, carbonate, whatever it could be, right? But with cars, we're actually polluting the world with methane gas, and we all know this, right? This isn't science, this isn't brand new, But it's pretty much like if the whole world is smoking cigarettes and it's inflating with carbon dioxide. With this carbon dioxide, which is pollution, it's actually affecting our plants as well. We're giving back to the plants carbon dioxide, but this carbon dioxide is actually very harmful for them as well. So they're giving us oxygen that's contaminated, right? So the point that I'm getting at is that this carbon dioxide is like obesity. I know it sounds very hard for me to say because I don't like to say that there is such thing as fat people. There is such thing as fat people, but they obviously can change with the dignity of choice. Going back into what Jim Rohn says, every living organism strives to the maximum of its potential except for human beings. Make the choice of maybe wanting to change for a better you, right? That's the whole point. So I'm going to repeat back the ecosystem: the sun, the ocean, the plants, humans, and animals, right? So I'm going to be talking about roles, and there are two roles. Obviously, the plants, they get the sunlight, they do the process of photosynthesis, create energy, food for us, right? And we're very lucky that obviously coming into this world, we already have these resources, but we don't want to take advantage and overuse these resources and not use them properly, right? So the other role is that I'm talking about whales. I know this sounds like super out of the ordinary. A guy who likes running and talks about whales, that doesn't make any sense at all. But whales are always running. And I'm not even kidding. Well, they're actually not running. If you see it as a way of role, they're actually informing themselves or following their instinct of creating and doing their own role. They don't have a choice to do it. They just naturally say, this feels good. This is the mechanic that I'm supposed to be doing on a daily basis. So the whales, they're the biggest mammals in the world. And mammals, we're very lucky to actually go through the process of photosynthesis, And with photosynthesis in mammals, we actually get to use the sun as energy, And with the sun as energy, we actually go through the process of fermenting plants. We do get to ferment plants, but whales get to do it through the ocean. And obviously, when we do excrete the waste from our bodies, we actually do give out vitamins and minerals. In the sense that whales, they call them fecal plumes. The whales eat fish and krill, right? And then they create these fecal plumes, which are infused or have a lot of the iron and nitrogen minerals that help plant plankton absorb and fertilize, And obviously I did watch this in a documentary, and this is one of the documentaries I watched in the past 2 years, and it was very intriguing for me because I said, whoa, that's crazy. Like, I didn't know whales did that. And then it starts adding up with everything that I've learned throughout my life, either with the biology or anything that has come for me as information that I can use for this, right? So they get to use this, and then the craziest thing about plant plankton is that they actually absorb carbon dioxide. So with the carbon dioxide that's actually contaminated in this world, they get to absorb it and then later on create the calcium carbonate. Yes, it's calcium carbonate. And they create, obviously, what is later on for thousands of years turning into fossil fuel, right? And we get to use fossil fuel for our cars and for our other equipment or anything that is possible, right, for us to use as materials. So with this, the whole point of these whales is that they're actually following their instinctive role. They don't need to change what they're doing because what they're doing is already the role of their life expansion, right? So, and getting into that is that we're unfortunately killing a lot of whales because we think that it's going to be giving us a lot more fish and krill and other animals that are in the ocean for us to eat. But as it says in the documentaries, that these whales, every single whale, actually enhances more lifestyle in the ocean too. So now that I'm getting into human beings, obviously us, saying what I did say before is that a human being is mind, body, and soul, but we're also instinct. And this is going back to prehistory with the Paleolithic era as we transcended. But during that Paleolithic era, we followed the one simple rule of we saw the sun and we went out and did our job, right? So Roger Bannister, he says this quote, which I'm actually going to be rephrasing it. He says, in Africa, whether there is a gazelle and there's a lion, and both aiming to strive for survival. So when the sun comes up, whether you're a gazelle or a lion, you better start running, right? The lion has to be faster than the slowest gazelle, and the fastest gazelle has to be faster than the lion, right? And that actually makes sense. And us as human beings, we have the ability to choose with the dignity or with the dignity that we have been giving to choose, be a gazelle or be a lion, making the choice and striving along with what we personally believe. So let's start off with that. Our ancestors in the Paleolithic era had to do it, and besides having to do it, they were born to do it. We're the as Christopher McDougall, who wrote the book Born to Run. I have the book. It's a great book. We were born to run because it innovated us, it impulsed us, it made us go faster, but we're the contenders of the long distance running, right? Other animals have to run and then actually rest so that they can actually run later on, right? So if you think into the Paleolithic diet is like, how did we hunt down animals? Because that's what most people think, is that the Paleolithic diet is all about eating meat. How do we hunt down animals to actually eat them if they are running for 10 or 15 miles and we have to follow them, right? Well, obviously we worked as a pack. We worked together. We shared ideas while we were running. We became really good at it because that's the best thing that the human body does. It actually adapts. So by adapting, we got good at it, and we say, hey, look, we can all run together. We can all share the ideas. I want that pack to go over there. If that gazelle or if that deer or whatever animal we're chasing head down that direction, and we had to share the idea so that we can aim for the same goal, survive, strive, innovate, and advance and evolve. Advance and evolve so much that from the Paleolithic era, we went to the Neolithic era, which is agricultural era. And then we finally came to the Bronze Age, which is the one that we're living right now. So we are born to run. And the best example is this. Whenever you have the chance to see a young kid about 2-3 years old, they'll naturally have the instinct to run. They can run for days. They have so much energy. It's insane. The only reason why they stop running is because adults tell them to stop running. They drive them crazy, right? It's insane, and you wish you could have that much energy to burn off the pizza from last night or whatever it is, right? But these kids naturally know that, and they don't know that they're not supposed to be running. They just know that it comes naturally to them, and that's a great advantage, but we've been neglecting it because we think that it's like, oh yeah, he has ADHD, or he has this problem, or he just has so much energy and I can't deal with it. Well, that's not dealing with it. You're supposed to go with it and actually teach it and actually enhance it and actually embrace it with someone else. We were supposed to have run. Now, going back into the example of our Paleolithic era, is that if a deer, let's say a deer is 10-15 miles that way, right? How is the man, because they were the hunters, supposed to have brought the deer back to the female and children 15 miles later, and try to not get lost in the way? And obviously our ancestors got very innovative with it to survive and to grow from it. But I think women and children also ran with them so that they don't get lost. They make it a little bit easier, and they adapt or just migrate to where there is that opportunity of where our pack is, right? We're a pack of wolves. So that's the instinct of what we're supposed to be doing as human people, and we have the contenders. We're the best contenders of the distance part. It's like people thought that it was just marathon and you die because Phidippides died and that created the marathon. But we know from other indigenous tribes or from other third world countries like Kenya or Ethiopia is that these people are just running barefoot every single day, and they can run as much as 26 to 50 miles, And when I'm getting to indigenous tribe, I'm talking about the Tarahumara, who they explain in Born to Run, and they run ultra marathons, It's crazy how we thought the limitation was just right then and there, and then we went above and beyond other limitations. Like Roger Bannister, they told him, hey, if you run the mile under 4 minutes in 1954, You're going to die. Your body cannot handle that stress. And guess what? He pretty much ran to die because they told him he was going to die, and he does it. You know, he didn't limit himself so much as saying, oh, well, if I die, well, I'm not going to figure it out. Or he said, well, might as well, right? Try it. So I'm getting here at the point of introduction of Run and Zen. So with introduction of Run and Zen, there's the why, there's the how, there's the what. Run and Zen is not here to teach you how to run. It's here to teach you how to enjoy running, which a lot of people don't know how to do or don't know how to start to follow a program that is actually fitted for them. And the why is because obviously I do believe that it's an instinct that challenges us either mentally, spiritually, physically, just by following our instincts. You know, you feel really good when you start running, but as you did not adapt or enhance yourself to continue on running because you neglected it, and I'm not saying you did something wrong, it's just that you just were never taught how to embrace it, right? So that's the whole point. It's just this characteristic that you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. So the how, right? I know it sounds like crazy, like, oh, well, it's just running, right? And the question is, well, what is running? I ask people what running is for them, and they say, oh, well, it's just moving your moving your legs faster than you were walking. And obviously, yes, that is literal, that is true. But there's a lot more to it, and I'm going to explain my definition afterwards. But you start off by limiting yourself. You start off by learning who you are as a runner. And in my running program, Run and Zen, I actually teach people this thing I call the minimum maximum. I know it sounds like, okay, that's very simple, but what do you mean by the minimum maximum? You know, here's the thing about running. It's time and distance and you, right? That's the mathematical equation for running. Time, distance, and you. So I ask people, look, if a person ran for 3 miles straight, how many times did they run? And obviously, this, for most people, this is a really hard question because it's never been asked before. And not just it being a hard question, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, how many steps? How many? No. How many times did you run? At the end, I have to tell them the answer is that you only ran one time. So during those 3 miles that you ran, you started off feeling great. You were going with your motion, your biomechanics, and feeling really good. And then you get tired. Get tired to the point where your body's saying, hey, I'm really tired. You got to slow it down. I know you're feeling great, but we don't know how this feels, right? And then I tell people, like, well, I get that. I know it feels really good when you start off, but then you lose everything that you felt like, and then you don't learn from it, and then you don't do it tomorrow, which is the whole point. For me, is to teach how to do it tomorrow. So by limiting people with their maximum minimum, I teach people, look, run for 30 minutes. And within those 30 minutes, you should be running 1 minute, and you should be resting another minute. Because during that 1 minute run, you just limited yourself to focusing on that effort as you rest, and then you get to repeat it again. So then I ask people, hey, how many times did you run if you did that for the 30 minutes? And they still kind of can't answer the question, but to the end of the point, I'm just like, okay, I give up trying to give you the answer, but this is the answer. You ran 15 times and you walked 15 times. First things first going to happen. Muscle memory. Your body knows what it feels like to run. Your body knows what it feels like to rest. And by doing the effort when you need to and resting when you need to, you get to do it 15 times of the running. And you're running with your biomechanic and you're feeling great and you're feeling great, and then you get to rest and say, oh, I get to rest, I get to relax, I get to not focus on the stress right now. And then timer goes again and you've already recovered, you've already been able to, you know, enhance yourself or focus on your rest, that you can repeat it again. All right, that's the whole point. That's part of progress. Now, limiting people with their maximum minimum actually gives them the ability to keep on growing. You limited yourself for 30 minutes, right? You did it for a minute, walked for a minute, did it for a minute, ran for a minute, walked for a minute, run for a minute, walked for a minute. And if you do that for a whole week, your body says, I'm tired of this, this is boring, I'm already used to it, I don't like it. Well, guess what you get to do? You get to either increase the intensity or you get to add the quantity to it. So now you're running for 2 minutes and walking for a minute. And then your body learns how to run for 2 minutes, rest the minute, run for 2 minutes, and then you're limiting yourself to so little that you can actually keep on growing so much more. And that's the better part of my program with Run and Zen. So going back at my personal philosophy with Run and Zen, I asked you guys a question: what is running? And this is the way I defined running. Running is the test measured by time, distance, and a person's willingness to continue on. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy. It's simple, and but it's not easy. And I want people to understand that running is very natural, feels very natural when you do it. I can guarantee you will feel sublime. I can tell you'll feel the endorphin. I can tell you'll feel really good, especially if you give it the least amount of time and the least amount of effort by doing it daily. That's all you need to do. With that, I actually do want to give you guys a quote before I leave. And this is my personal quote. Hopefully, if someone else has it, congratulations. But people say you're not supposed to work hard, you're supposed to work smart. I like to say, know how hard you're supposed to work. Guys, with that said, thank you so much for viewing this video. I hope you get to share it. I hope you get to influence someone, invite them out for a run, share the idea, and at one point, enjoy the run, everyone. And hopefully everybody gets to run later on. With that said, guys, thank you so much. Good to see you next time. God bless.